too. But first of all, we're going to go back to where we left off with the Memeship, which was a ship with two 9-inch guns, not very much, and then lots of 4-inch secondaries. Now, that ship did really well against an undefended convoy. However, against an armed convoy, it's not going to do so well. It lacked a bit of punch. So I've been messing around a little bit. You can see I've finished this mission. But let's see if we can make something that will actually perform better in this case. So we'll keep guns and fire control, because that's useful. Now yes, when funnels are destroyed, that's one thing I've been trying to keep in mind, is add more funnels to give a bit of redundancy. So hopefully I'll be able to incorporate that with this design as well. Now, a few changes I'm going to make straight off the bat. Max out the displacement, 22,500 tons. Speed, ideally I'm going to aim for 34 knots. It's not going to manage that, but we could try, or it can manage that under flank. Range, for now, we still don't need, and bulkhead standard. Now, we're overweight, but we can solve that. First of all, get rid of the basic steam engine for turbines. Dramatically reduces the weight just on its own. Then we will replace the coal with semi-oil fuel. We want forced draft to maximize the efficiency of our funnels. Then we want an auxiliary engine, which helps with water pumping and repairs. And then the shaft, which helps with maneuverability, a little bit on speed and that sort of thing, turn rate as well. Iron plate armor, we don't want. We'll upgrade it to the better armor we can get, which is the Krupp Armor 2. And see, we've now got a lot more weight to play around with. But we're not done yet, because we need to actually improve the survivability of the ship. So under Citadel, we'll go Citadel 2, help improve resistance. Anti-flooding, we'll go just the basic measure there. And then we'll go with reinforced bulkheads again as well, to try and maximize survivability of the ship, because we're expecting it will take some firepower this time, and we want to, survive it. Now, standard shells we'll replace with heavy shells, because we want the extra firepower. Now the powder, we've got a few different options. Now I went with the white powder in the previous test, which worked pretty well. However, you've got a few more options here, like HE fire jets there is pretty good, but it reduces gun range. That actually increases gun range somehow and shell penetration. But you got here shell damage, HE shell damage, HE fire jet. So I think we'll stick with Lyddite 2. That seems that would be the best option, so we'll go with that for now, given HE is our most likely source of damage with this ship. Now we'll replace hydraulic turrets with electro-hydro, which gives us a little bit of a penalty in the weight, but it gives us much boosted traverse speed. And then instead of standard reload, we're going to go fully automatic gun reload, which this was one of the things they changed in the patch. It used to affect just accuracy. Now it affects the gun aiming speed and a little bit of the turret traverse. So we're offsetting the turret traverse impact a bit by having electro-hydro. But then you can see that we get 35% improved reload time. So that's what we want for this dumb design. Now, of course, we're going to stick better rangefinder on it. And we're going to stick better radio. Just because, why not, basically. It all helps. And now we actually got to start placing things on the ship itself. So advanced tower 2, we're going to have to put one of them down, put it towards the forward. So that'll go there. Secondary tower, we'll go this one. Now, if I can remember where the best spot for it was, I think it was there. Because like I said, I've experimented a little bit with this off camera, just to see what I can do. Medium one there. We'll put a big one on the aft section there. Hopefully that's not too far aft. Main guns we're going to need, center lines. Now, the 13s seem to work, because the 14s, if you have a look, are too big. We can't fit the 14 on the bow. It just will not work. We could fit them on the stern, but I don't like mixing armament. So we'll go a triple, about sort of there-ish. And then we'll have a super firing secondary there. We'll have another triple on the stern, about there, and a dual sitting atop there, again because the weight difference, and we're going to need that weight to improve our armor a little bit. Now we've actually got a little bit too much at aft offset, so if I can pick that up and move that, that'll help. Because unfortunately I can't move these barbettes. They are only in fixed places, which is a little bit of a shame, but there's not much I can really do about that, unfortunately. Now I could put secondary here, so that's what I will be doing. That's another reason why I wanted to put that forward. So in my original design, it was 4-inch guns everywhere, but they kind of lack a little bit in terms of penetration in that. We want a little bit more. The 6s are quite a lot heavier though, so I don't think we're going to go with them. The 5s are probably going to be our best bet. So we'll chuck some 5s up on there. Now we don't have one on the stern now, but that's okay, we'll solve that. Now we need to get them in this area where we can. I don't know why. Sometimes it will place them automatically on the other side and sometimes it won't. So I'm having to manually place them like that, but it's okay. We can make it work. Now this one is the tricky one to place because it likes to clip out a lot. But if you rotate it, it will work fine sometimes, like that. So chuck one there. Chuck another one. Is that the right spot? I think that's about the right spot there. Yep. Now we don't want one sitting in that pit. That's not really going to work for us. We fit one here. Yes, we can. And it skews that one off like that for some reason. That's interesting. But that's those ones. Now we'll continue this trade, basically. We don't want that. See that when you rotate a turret, you can actually plant them closer to where you want them, so that's a nice touch. And yeah, sometimes it seems to place them, other times it doesn't. Not entirely sure why that is. That's there, I think. Let's continue the train down. Out there. Oh, it actually let me put one there. I swear it didn't let me do that in one of my tests, but it let me do that now, so that works. That works for me. Can we put one there? No, we're going to have the thing in the way. So, yeah, that is, what's that? 15, what's that say? 15 times 2 guns. So where, oh yeah, because we got an extra one there. So what have we got now for a broadside? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we got 14 on a broadside, 16 if you account for the super firing forward mount. But we're not entirely finished with this design yet. We're getting there. But we can actually, sometimes, if it will let you, fit one in the middle. It usually doesn't like it, but it had it there for a second. I think that might be the spot actually where it let me put singles. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. The crew don't exactly have anywhere to operate that one when it's in there. You know, that's a little bit cramped in there. But, according to the game it works, so I'm not going to tell the game no. I'm going to keep doing this as much as I can. Like, I don't like how it skews that. It's always a pain. But there's like nothing really you can do about it, and I don't really like leaving it like that. Now, it's probably not going to let us put one there because that gun's too close. And yeah, we're overlapping with it. Yep. No worries. We're overlapping with it, so we won't worry about that. I think we've got enough armament on this beast. Funnels. This is the area where we need to worry about it. That's where I was hoping I could get one in there, but it doesn't look like I can. Well, actually, I can get one in there. Where's our smoke efficiency? And then if we put one there as well, and one there as well. That looks a little strange. Have we got like a tall one that will fit in there? No. No, they all are too big to fit in there on their own. So we'll have to go with the weirdest look to it. There we go. So we got an excess of funnel capacity now. We're a little bit overweight is the problem. So can we fit that in there? We can. Looks a little odd, but we can fit that in. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, the issue is armor. We don't have a lot of weight to play with now. And really, we want armor on our secondaries because they're one of our main sources of firepower. Because we have so damn many with this design, so we don't want them taken out easily. Which is easier said than done, given there's a lot of them, but that also gives us a little bit of redundancy. Now, can we increase the belt by much? No, we can't do 5.5, unfortunately. That would be nice, but too heavy. Because as it is a 5.4 belt, that's not going to bounce a lot. One of my test designs for this had a 7-inch belt, which is maybe a little bit excessive, but it worked. Because you see here, these battleship-sized guns will penetrate basically all armor we could fit on, even out to 20 kilometers. So, I mean, granted, their accuracy at 20 kilometers, you can see, is 0.4%. So, you're not likely to penetrate at that range, but if you do, you're kind of stuffed. Because we can't put more on that. Now, we could pile on more on our turrets or our secondaries. We'll put a little bit more. We can't even put much more on them because we're too heavy. Can we put anything on turret tops? No. If we take a little bit off there, can we... I'd like to get the turret roofs there to 1 inch. Not much, but again, it's better than nothing. So here's a design. We're weighed down by having an extra big gun, but in some of my experiments I found if you had just 2 triple turrets, that wasn't really enough firepower when you had your accuracy penalties to really take down battleships. So if we have a super firing gun aft, that increases the weight of our broadside. You know, it takes us from 6 barrels to 8 barrels, which is a little bit better. But let's take this thing in, and hopefully it will perform a little better. Oh, that was apparently another thing they did with one of the updates, is they've made it so the AI ships generate a bit differently. Supposedly to make them more of a challenge. So we're the Chinese Empire fighting the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Not sure how that works out, but we'll see. Stop speed. See, when I set the speed to 34, that means I can manage 27 and still get accuracy benefits, which I found quite good in my actual experience. We'll leave it on normal for now. And we'll also let them target whoever they want to target for the time being. So they've targeted this guy here. I see they've already destroyed one of our secondary guns. That's the thing I was worried about in the first place. Yeah, he's already taken one out, which is a pain because it's on our side that we're targeting straight away. They've also made it so AP cares more about angles, so if a ship is angled, you can see when your shells ricochet more often. Like that one there just bounced off. Ooh. Well, we just took out his main gun, so that's something. He's lost his bow forward, so he's got one aft, but his aft one's not actually in a position where it can fire right now. That's good for us. Oh yes, they've also added a 10 times speed for when your fleets are more spread out, which is nice. You see, we're drawing a lot of firepower right now, but we're also sending a fair amount this way. Another big one, we apparently took out his gun again, but we also took out his engine. Now, armor penetration shells since the last patch now will actually have a higher chance of causing flooding from underwater strikes. Because if a shell goes underwater just before reaching the target, it will still maintain, of course, some of its momentum, which means it might penetrate the unarmored underwater hull of a ship. So that's always nice. So one thing we've got to keep in mind. More fires. Now that's what this design is more or less gear turns. We're geared a lot more around setting fire to our targets, because that causes accuracy debuffs and a few other little benefits. I'm not sure they really give us much benefit aside from that, but it's something I've been experimenting with anyway, hoping that they do a bit more. Oops. I don't know why the sound cut out there, but according to OBS it's back now, so that's something. Now we've lost 2 secondaries, so we definitely want to put improved armor on them if we can. Maybe have to sacrifice some of these guns in the process to do it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Now there's a battleship there we want to keep an eye on, so watch our shells come in. There we go. He's no longer a threat to us really. We've taken out his other main gun. He's flooding. Now I also did an experiment of this design with 6-inch guns, but it didn't really work out. Like, it sort of worked, but it had its problems, and I wasn't really too pleased with the trade-off. Like, they were always firing AP basically, and a 6-inch AP shell doesn't have a lot of velocity, but I wanted my main guns to fire AP still most of the time. We haven't identified him. What we just did. So what's he got? He's got 9-inch guns, so he's not actually as big of a threat as I thought he would be. He's got 9 inches, 7, 5s, 4s, 3s, 2. He's basically got every caliber you can fit. He hasn't got any 8s on there, or 6s, but he's got everything else. And he's even got torpedoes, interestingly. But one of the test ones when I was testing this design prior had 13-inch guns, so that was a bit more of a worry to fight against. He's exactly the same armor by the look of it. What's our accuracy? We're firing on the battleship now, so there you go. We've got debuffs for seaways, the morning time cloudy weather. Hull stability and tower is pretty low, so we've done alright with that. And the 3-barrel tech is only a -5%, so I'm not really worried about that for the main guns too much. Now these 5-inch guns, when they fire, they can fire with reasonable accuracy, about 3,000 meters you can see from there. 5,000 is a bit low, so we're firing at the moment at about 4. So we're lacking a little bit in that regard. He's pretty much stopped already. He's not going particularly quickly, that's for sure. And that's one of the other things they added. They added this sort of statusing at the top so you can see what your shells are actually doing. So you can see what ones actually get damaged, what have bounced, partial pens, penetrations, all that information. Which is nice if you're someone like me and like to actually know what's going on with your ship and its weapons at the time of being used. So we've basically set that battleship fully ablaze right now, which is pretty good. Hopefully we can do a little bit more than that, of course, but we're doing alright at the moment. Now, let's switch on over to him actually. He's broadside onto us, which is good. Oh, good bounce there of a shell. What's he got? He's got 12 inches, 12.1 inches maximum of armor. So that's actually pretty solid, all things considered. So we might want to keep an eye on what happens there. But we have set him basically entirely ablaze. If we can take him down, that kind of helps prove that this design isn't entirely flawed. Just mostly flawed. Oh, we lost another gun. One that didn't seem to be firing anyway, because these aren't firing right now. I think it's because of where they've been positioned. If they're facing like that, they might have less... what's it called? I'm hand gesturing as if you could see it. Less, firing arcs, or worse firing arcs anyway. Oh, we damaged someone's torpedo. The ship's looking a little bit worse for wear now. His structure's down 45%. 44. He's putting out the fires, but he is going fairly slowly in the process. We're still maintaining 26.3 knots, so we're making it harder for ourselves to be hit. Let's straighten up so we're not listing so much. But yeah, I might need to adjust these guns. As you can see, these ones aren't really firing at all. If I set them to aggressive, is that going to make any difference? I don't believe so. But it's worth setting that way in any case. Is down 35% now. Oh, and there we go. We've sunk a battleship with the Memeship. So that works for us. Let's target this light cruiser now. Because he's sort of charging towards us a little bit. Not much in the way of firepower on him. 5-inch guns and 3-inch guns. No torpedoes by the look of it, and 21 knots is a reasonable speed, but when you've got a battle cruiser doing 27, that's not really a lot. Wait for our main guns to fire. Here they come. I love the smoke effects when they fire. That was a good hit. See, the 5s do more damage than the 4s, because the 4s I found were just bouncing most of the time. Whereas the 5s are doing sort of partial pens. They're not really doing a lot either, but they're doing a little bit more than they otherwise might. Now we've lost more secondaries, but that was to be expected. He is flooding quite badly there. I can't see him staying afloat for too long. Let's get in close on the action. If we can, anyway. When he fires. Come on. He'll fire when we're not ready for it, that's what it is. There we go. And all the shells coming in on us as well. That cruiser over here is not looking too hot. No. That's not a good sight. There's more shell fire coming in on him as well. Bit of overshooting by the look of it, but doing it. Oh, big gunfire coming in. You know you're in trouble when there's shell splashes that, you know, are way taller than your ship. You never want that. That's not a good thing to have. Let's change our course. So we've taken one of the 2 battleships down. Let's focus on this cruiser. Let's take this out first. Whoa! Shell right in the face. He managed to bounce that one. Oh, I missed it. They do actually splash when they hit the water. but I zoomed in too close and lost sight of it, which is a pain. Now, we're actually doing reasonably well. I mean, we've lost some secondary guns, but we haven't taken severe damage pretty much anywhere else for the time being. Like, especially because I know the battleships... Oh, there we go. Especially because I know the battleships here don't actually have very powerful guns. Like, the generation thing's only given them 9s. I'm not as worried about them than I would be if they were carrying heavier armament. In comes some more fire. Overshot a little bit. If we can take some of this out, because yeah, what's he's got? He can still penetrate our belt, basically, because we don't have much of a belt on this ship. Oh, that was a fairly nasty hit to one of us. So both of our aft guns have been slightly damaged, but they haven't been taken out. There's some firepower going his way. Looks like they missed. Torpedo, I mean, no, oh, there we go. Secondaries, set some fires. We lost another secondary, I think, or did they hit one of the same ones? They hit one of the same ones, I think, so that's something. Oh, main gun was damaged there. Ah, secondary gun destroyed. That worked. What's he got that he's firing? He's got 7, so he's a little bit more. It looks like he's actually taken some damage. I'm assuming that's from shell fire that has overshot the battleship we're actually targeting and has hit him instead. I would like it if we could pin that information on the right. There doesn't seem to be a way. You can sort of click it, but then when I've clicked that, I can't actually give orders to my own ship, so it would be nice. But all I'm trying to do is pay attention to what we're actually doing to him at the moment. At the moment we're getting a lot of partial pens, so yeah, shell did not penetrate but fractured the armor. So we're not doing a tremendous amount against him right now, again, because he's got quite a lot of armor compared to us. I mean, our guns can pen it if they hit the right spots at, you know, ideal ranges and accuracy. That also considers, you know, ideal angles and all the rest of it, which we don't really have at this point. Like, we could try it, but hopefully not. And we'll see how this carries out. Because we're doing pretty good so far. We've taken out a battleship. We've taken out a cruiser. We haven't taken much damage ourselves in the process. Oh, he's been set on fire again. But so far, we've done more damage to them than they've done to us, even though we're just a single unit. So this is like the conditions this raider wouldn't really want to be coming under. You know, you're raiding convoys, that's why you got all these secondaries, because then you can save your ammo for smaller ones. And then if this was a, you know, World War II situation, these guns with high angle elevation and proper directors would actually give this quite the effective anti-air ability as well. But we don't have that at the moment to worry about. All we have to worry about is old school ships, pre-dreadnoughts, and armoured and protected cruisers. That sort of thing. Those fell short a little bit. Oh, nasty hit aft there. Don't know if that gun was already taken out or not. But he is down now. He's still got his main guns. They can still penetrate our armor. But his accuracy is probably being affected. Like, I mean, we're big, so we're a little bit easy to hit in that sense. But we're harder to hit in the sense that this ship is doing 27 knots and can do up to 34 with a accuracy penalty on ourselves. So we could, in theory, entirely outrun these ships if we wanted to. In fact, I actually kind of did that in one of my tests where I ended up leading the cruisers so far away and the battleships so far away that their transports all got left behind. They didn't bother protecting them, so I was just able to circle back around, leave the warships behind, and take out all the transports and win the mission. Because as you can see, our only goal is to sink the transports. We could entirely ignore these warships if we wanted to. Now, I don't particularly want to ignore them, because the whole point of this is to see if this design isn't quite as useless as it looks. Which, it's hard to really tell if the 5's doing much more or not. Certainly against a battleship they're not doing a lot. But that's to be expected. No real small guns are going to do much against 12 inches of armor. You just gotta hope that they set fires in the right locations. That was a nasty hit there. He's flooding quite badly and he's lost his rudder, so he's also burning down, so hopefully we can continue whittling him away. Another hit there, deflected off his bridge by the look of it, so he won't be lasting too much longer, I feel. Especially not as we keep raining down the fire on him. Good explosion there and a ricochet. Just a little bit of smoke. Hope you don't mind the smell. Having your nose seared and, you know, you'd be deafened by the gunfire from this as well. Because it's constant gunfire, it's not just a little bit of gunfire. But it's working surprisingly well, all things considered. I just would need to improve. Like, these ones aren't firing, so I'm going to need to adjust that because there's room for improvement with this design. We're losing some firepower that we otherwise would have. Oh, he's down to 18% now. He's not looking too healthy. He's still underway. He's lost an engine and he's flooding, but he's still, for the time being at least, making some slight movement. He's also very close to one of his transports right now. I'm surprised we haven't been able to hit it yet, just with our overshoots. Oh, he's lost 2 of his 3 funnels, so he will be down a bit on his actual capacity. Still fighting back. He's listing only a little bit for the time being. There's that cruiser we disabled earlier, still fighting, but with only his small guns, given he doesn't have any big guns left to fight back with. Watch for the blast when our guns fire. There we are. Shells coming in. He fires some himself. Big shell splash there. Looks like we missed. But yeah, he is not looking particularly healthy at this point. Also, these guns haven't really been doing much at all for him. He's sort of been out of range, I think, on the other side to use them. He's probably going to want to start launching these boats. You know, just a suggestion, I would say. Just a suggestion to make use of them before you can't actually use them anymore. More firepower coming in. Those are going to come short by the look of it. Didn't lead enough. That's my problem in World of Warships, is never leading enough. Or overshooting like that other shot just then. Yeah, he's on 6% structure, so our secondaries have switched targets to this transport over here by the look of it. They've decided they've had enough firing on this guy. Yeah, our secondaries decided that battleship's not worth firing on. He's not really fighting back much. He's still got his guns, but I'd say his effectiveness has been somewhat reduced to be negligible. Now, of course, the issue is, can we get more hits on him? Well, our secondaries are really doing a number on our first victim of a transport. You can see here, he's already flooding quite badly. And his ablaze is listing. He's not really moving anymore. And even the battleship supposed to escort him has been basically taken out, and one of them already sent to the bottom. That would be really demoralizing, wouldn't it? Because even an old battleship, you would think, oh, you know, a good escort, you know, it will help protect you. You're just a merchant sailor. And then you see that in the background with your battleship completely ablaze, on fire, you know, or ablaze and on fire means the same thing, but listing a little bit and having guns destroyed, not really fighting back. Yeah, this shit would be devastating for morale. But we've already almost sunk this transport just from the flooding alone. There he goes. I'd hope that they reset that sinking model sometimes so it doesn't jump back like that. It looks a little odd when it does it. Now, we've actually increased our distance so much that we might want to swoop in now. We can close the distance now that we are in a better position than we were. Switched our fire to the next transport ship as well. But we are a little bit far away for our secondaries to really do much, and we've lost a lot on this side. Or, we've lost 2 on that side, and we've lost 1 on this side. So yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to improve, is adjust the positions on these so they can fire better, and then adjust the positions for our armor, or the armor distribution, I should say, to give our secondaries a little bit more protection. Look, and that's the end of the second battleship. So we have sunk 2 now. Now who's he switched targeting to? Ah, the cruiser we picked on first. while our secondaries have now switched fire to the other cruiser. Yeah, this guy's got what, 5-inch guns, 4-inch guns, and torpedoes only at this point, as we took out both of his mains. That was a bounce or something. Certainly looked like one. Straighten up now. Maintain this course. Close the gap now that we've taken out the bigger threats. And get to work. Now I've also been trialing whether I can get both sides firing, and it just doesn't seem to work. Sometimes they seem to fire and sometimes they don't, but I haven't been able to figure out exactly what causes them to choose when to fire or not. It's the same with the torpedoes. It's hard to really find out when the torpedoes are actually going to launch or not, especially with our own destroyer designs. I always struggle with that, as you saw in, what was it, stream 1 or stream 2? One of them. One of them in any case. Oh, that was a nasty hit on him there. Taking out all his engines. Pretty sure they've only got 3 engines at this point. Wait for him to open fire. We've switched targets now. Switch targets to him, please. Finish him off. We're so close to finishing him off. That's going to go too far aft. Yep. And that went too far forward. Keep the fire coming, boys. Oh, there's a big salvo. Missed by the look of it, yep. That was some nasty hits. He's probably not going to be staying afloat for much longer, I would have thought. He's flooding quite badly at this point. Yeah, it's like barely holding together at this point, so yeah, he's done for. There we go, he has sunk due to heavy flooding. Now we'll see, will we get fire on either side, because you've got targets over here for transports, and you've got a cruiser directly in front of us. Oh, he launched torpedoes. I just noticed that. We're going to... Ooh. Yes, we took a torpedo out. I forgot to pay attention to that. Just glanced off our bow, and we should have the ability to repair that at least. Because yeah, we're flooding in the bow at the moment, so that will be affecting our accuracy, yeah, because our stability is down due to the flooding. Those guns are definitely firing on him, but the others, yeah, they've got arcs, or at least these ones have, on these transports, but they're not seeming to make any effort to actually fire on them. took a fair bit of damage there, mostly from the torpedo, I think. Because, yeah, forepeak and whatever you'd call it, the compartment behind that are still flooded. Hopefully they can get the damage crews on pumping that out. We are enacting our revenge, however. He's almost ready to launch more torpedoes, but I think we might have weakened his ability to actually fight back with them at this point. That's the downside of getting in close, is you encourage them to actually use them. Whereas if you sit at range, it's harder for them to ever actually launch them. There's two nasty hits there, completely destroying his bridge, so he'll be suffering quite the accuracy reduction now. We're still maintaining 21 knots even with the flooding. Or 22 knots almost. We are listing a little bit. Although we are also in a bit of a turn, so that will have a say in that too. Yeah, he's down to 18% structure, 50 bloody. And yeah, he is ablaze as well. Yeah, see, these gunners could be firing on this transport, but they just don't want to, I guess. Now see, if this was a real raider, this would actually have been a bad thing to do. Because we've now taken enough damage that we can't really stay at sea. We'd have to return to port, thus ending the raiding mission. And whenever you return to port, you've got to be in for repairs, and that does mean that your actual utility of your ship is being affected. So you'd ideally want to either not take damage in the first place, or be able to stay far enough away that you can mitigate that damage enough to stuff that you could repair, say, at sea. Because you're not going to repair these turrets at sea. That flooding you're not going to be able to repair at sea. We could have avoided that if we'd been watching more attention to whether we'd actually launch torpedoes or not. That's stuff you'd all have to keep in mind if you were wanting to have something like this as an actual real ship. I'm impressed he hasn't gone down fully yet. Yeah. Our aft guns are underwater. That's not a good sign. Hey lads, here, take a shower. Or just turn the ship enough. Just make sure you've secured everything down. We don't want to have a man overboard right now. Being in the middle of engagement, it's a little difficult to return to pick you up. Still burning down though. We're actually running out of ammo for our twin 13. We've been fighting that long, we've almost reduced the shells. I mean, we're down to 64, so we've still got a fair few salvos before we run out, but finish off the cruiser, please. We're aiming to take on one of the transports, I think. Let's straighten up. Let's get this healing settled. Because yeah, that is a bit of a list. And yet with where the torpedo hit, that list wouldn't be from damage. That would be just from our turn. Oh, there we go. The secondaries realise there's a target they can fire on. That's more like it. There we go, he's down. So now we've got just the transports left. The awkward thing about that is they're a bit more spread. Oh yeah, it's the Cormoran. Not the armed raider, presumably. So I'm not seeing undercover guns on this one. That's not going to be sinking the Sydney. But yes, we've taken out all their escorts now, so all that's left is to take out the transports themselves. We've taken only one out. So that leaves some still spread out. But we've actually lost sight of one. I think it went off that way somewhere. Ooh, that's not a hit you want to have in immersion ship. 13-inch gun would destroy pretty much anything if it even, you know, detonated rather than passing straight through. That was not a good hit for him. Both engines down. Flooding really badly now. And there we go, he's down. And our target, or our guns have already switched targets to the next transport. And we've already set him ablaze. Or rather, ablaze and flooding. Two good things to have, I'm sure. Ooh. Wow. Just all that red that suddenly happened when those guns hit. I say, if we used smaller guns in the 13, we could have put better protection, so we may have been able to keep this ship in better fight-worthy condition. As it is, it seems we're not pumping out that flooding from the torpedo, so that would be a mission kill for this ship. Another big salvo firing off. some nasty hits from that one too. Yeah, he's flooding quite considerably now. Yeah. I suppose the fact this is a battle cruiser's raider means that in theory you would be able to take prisoners of war rather than fighting unrestricted warfare like we're currently doing. Like, you know, maybe even take prizes if you wanted to. Have prize crews aboard, that sort of thing. More flooding, because he needed that. And more fire, because they needed that too. And they're down. Yeah, we're currently doing 23 knots, which is not bad given we've got our bow flooded. I do believe, however, that this isn't the only transport remaining and that there's one somewhere else that we've lost sight of when we were taking on the cruisers and battleships. That was a nasty shell there. Hopefully, if this is indeed not the last one, we'll be able to find where the other one or possibly two went. Oh, that one's one that's sinking, so... Yeah, it says something over here. Interestingly. So the game does reckon there's another one over here somewhere, so... If this one goes down and the mission doesn't end, then we'll know for sure that yes, there is another one over there somewhere. I mean, they do 15 knots, so they're not the fastest. We're currently slowed down to 23 because of our damage. But that's still fast enough to overtake them eventually. You know, eventually. He's trying to stop the flooding, but it's all going to be in vain because you're going to be sent to the bottom of the ocean very shortly. Especially with any of these big guns actually hit. I mean, that was very close. That was almost a hit. His engine rooms are flooded by now. That's probably why he's not moving and got all the damage. Oh, look at that. They just repaired engine 3 and then it got destroyed again. They just repaired it, it got destroyed again. I think that's the flooding. More than anything else. Yep, he's down. And the mission did not end, so that means there is another ship somewhere. Are we able to make any more speed than what we're currently doing? 23.4 seems to be the fastest we're able to manage. As far as I know, the only possibility in direction that ship could be would be off this way, basically in the path that this one was sailing in. Or was sailing in is no more. Transport planet, okay. Boats have been launched. Probably should have launched them earlier if I were them, but whatever. Yeah, see, this ship could take so many prisoners of war if you were to actually do that method. Although I'm not sure why the Chinese Empire are fighting the Austro-Hungarians in the first place, but apparently we are. And that ship is no more. Too dangerous to go that fast, apparently. Not entirely sure how. Now, if we actually fail this mission just because we've lost a ship, like, I would consider this still a victory. We destroyed their escort, we destroyed 2 battleships, we destroyed 2 cruisers, or 2 or 3 cruisers actually, and then we've sunk quite a few of their cargo ships. I would say that is a fairly successful convoy raiding mission to me. Like, the downside of course is, like I said, we've taken damage that would put this ship out of commission. But aside from that, no obvious signs of anything else this way. But yeah, I think we're actually going to fail this mission just because we missed a ship or 2 somewhere. But whatever. It meets the needs of my own set of requirements for success, regardless of what the game thinks. Yeah, we lost sight of them a while ago by the look of that. Yeah, according to that, that's 2 transports that we've lost somewhere. But out of the 6 there was originally, we've sunk 4. That's quite an impact on the war effort in any case. Maybe they're not ahead, maybe they were behind, maybe they fell behind, I don't know. Yeah, that's about course. We've not got much time left anyway. Maybe they were the ones we damaged or something. I don't know. Very anticlimactic ending to this mission. That's for sure. I wish the guns would reset to neutral positions when you're out of combat, too. Because, like, there's no need for these guns to be trained in any direction now. They could be reset. And yep, we're gonna run out of time, so we're technically gonna fail this mission, but it's not a failure. You know. We passed. The game will tell us we failed, but we didn't. We know the reality.